Throughout the series, you fight guards, elites, mercenaries, and basically half the population. And fighting them is cool, but it only becomes really fun when you're holding the right weapon. Because in every Assassin's Creed game, there's always that one weapon. The one that changes everything. Sometimes it's broken because of the stats, and sometimes because of how it works. And sometimes it's just unfair in every possible way. So today we're breaking it all down. The best weapon in every Assassin's Creed game. Assassin's Creed 1 was the star of the whole series. Though it was rough around the edges and not perfect at all, but it worked. And the same goes for combat. Unlike the later titles, it was painfully slow, but it leaned more towards technical mechanics, and was all about timing. You couldn't just mash buttons and win. Now, AC1 was also very different when it came to weapons. There was absolutely zero customization, no legendary gear or fancy stuff. You basically had one sword, one dagger, and hopes and dreams. So picking the best weapon here is tricky, which means we have to think out of the box. For melee combat, the real game changers are the hidden blade and the dagger. The hidden blade is an easy answer because it's fast, clean, and if your timing is right, it's a one-shot kill. Once you understand the mechanics, counter kills become second nature. Now the dagger. On paper, it does less damage than the sword, but in action, it's way faster. You can land multiple hits in a short time, and that speed completely makes up for the lower damage. Honestly, because of that speed, the dagger often feels better than the sword. It just flows better with AC1's combat system. So in a game with limited choices, the hidden blade and dagger quietly become the most effective weapons in the game. Assassin's Creed 2 improved things a lot. Combat felt more balanced, smoother, and most importantly, it gave us choices. And this is where weapon stats really came into play. Damage, speed, defense, now it actually mattered what you were using. The hidden blade still works mostly the same, but the timing is important. And yeah, it can still feel a bit clunky like AC1 at times. But overall, it's more reliable and smoother. That being said, for AC2, the best weapon clearly shifts to something else. The Sword of Altair. This is the only sword in the game with full 5 stats across the board. And when you pair it with the armor of Altair, you can literally 2 or 3 shot almost any enemy in the game without any serious effort. Unlocking it, however, is a pain in the ass, because first you need the armor of Altair, which means you have to collect 6 of the assassin seals hidden in assassin tombs, which in themselves are scattered around the map. Once that's done, the sword becomes available. The result? You receive a weapon that's fast, strong, durable, and perfectly balanced. It rewards exploration and makes you feel powerful without feeling cheap. Brotherhood is a direct sequel, and you feel it immediately. Ezio isn't learning anymore, he's a master assassin. Even though most weapons return from AC2, but this time, some of them are more than just stat upgrades or reskins. Like AC2, the Sword of Altair is still here, and yes, it's still amazing. But using it again as the best pick would feel a bit lazy. So for variation and style, the spotlight goes to the Dagger of Brutus. You unlock it by collecting the Scrolls of Romulus. Once you do, you get an armor set and the dagger. Speaking of the armor, it's kind of lame and not our favorite, but the dagger, absolute chef's kiss. It even comes with custom animations and they are absolutely brutal. They are fast, aggressive, and incredibly satisfying to watch. Using it doesn't feel strong, it feels earned. Assassin's Creed Revelation stays very close to AC2 and Brotherhood in terms of gameplay and combat. By this point, the formula is familiar, refined, and comfortable. Revelations also continues the tradition of unlocking special weapons and armor, but it approaches things a little differently. Instead of one connected set, you unlock a different sword and a different armor, each with its own identity. But when it comes to the best overall weapon you can unlock in Revelations, the answer is pretty clear. The Sword of Vlad the Impaler. This weapon is unlocked through a DLC tied to the base game. Vlad's tomb is located on the far side of the map, and getting there is not just a simple walk. Once you reach the area and overcome the obstacles, you can open the tomb and claim the sword for yourself. And just like the Dagger of Brutus in Brotherhood, this weapon isn't special only because of stats. It comes with custom and brutal animations for Ezio, and the attacks hit harder, move faster, and it's almost like the sword itself drove Ezio to show no mercy. The way he tears through his enemies here, it's something we've never seen anywhere else in the trilogy. Assassin's Creed 3 shocks things up in the series. Combat felt more dynamic, more grounded, and the game introduced a huge variety of weapons, each with its own style. And of course, there was one new weapon that really defined AC3's flair: the tomahawk. Let's break it down. For style and elegance, nothing beats the assassin tomahawk. This isn't just any random axe, it originally belonged to John de la Tour, the first colonial assassin. It's sleek, deadly, and fits perfectly with Ezio's descendant turned revolutionary vibe. Swinging it feels weighty but fluid, and every kill looks just satisfying. Now, if you're looking purely at stats and raw swordplay, the Washington Battle Sword is the clear winner. You unlock it by finding a recipe in one of the game's chests and then crafting it. Once you wield it, you'll notice that the speed, combo potential, and damage are maxed out, giving it a serious edge over the other swords in the game. It's perfect for players who want a weapon that's as efficient as it is impressive. And if your playstyle is more about precision and taking enemies out from a distance, the bow and arrow becomes your best friend. A well-placed headshot can take out nearly anyone instantly, making it both elegant and brutally effective. And for the guns, the Royal Flintlock pistol takes the crown. Its dual barrels and higher shot capacity mean you can dominate enemies quickly, giving you a huge advantage in chaotic fights. Assassin's Creed 4 is a fan favorite for so many reasons, and one of the biggest is definitely the naval combat. But apart from commanding ships, Edward's on-foot combat was praised as well, basically carrying over the solo system from AC3. This meant similar weapon types, stats, and mechanics, which made choosing the best weapons interesting. When it comes to swords, AC4 gives you a pair to wield, and technically the officer's rapiers top the charts in stats. They're fast, balanced, and reliable in almost any fight. But honestly, stats only tell part of the story. For something truly unique and satisfying, the pistol swords steal the spotlight. They aren't just normal swords, as you can finish enemies in a way no other sword lets you. Unlocked after completing all assassination contracts, they give Edward a completely new kind of flair in combat. And no, they don't shoot bullets like you might hope, but the custom finishers make up for it in style. Kill an enemy and you'll see Edward finish them with the flourished pistols in hand, much like the dagger of Brutus or Vlad the Impaler sword in previous games. It's a visual showpiece as much as a weapon, and it makes every fight feel unique. And if we talk about pistols, the golden flintlock pistols are by far the best. They aren't just strong, they look incredible, and their stats make them perfect for both close and mid-range fights. Unlocked by completing all naval challenges, these pistols aren't just practical, they are a personal favorite for anyone who loves feeling like a true pirate assassin. Rogue sticks closely to the systems from Black Flag, which makes combat familiar and the weapon system easy to navigate. Because of that, picking the best weapon isn't too complicated, as stats tell most of the story. For swords, the standout is once again Altair's sword. It's a powerhouse, with stats like 4 speed, 5 combo, and 5 damage. And remember, 5 is the maximum amount in the game. Unlocking it is simple as long as you've redeemed it. And once you do, it quickly becomes one of the most effective swords in Rogue. When it comes to pistols, things get a bit subjective. There isn't a single pistol that dominates every stat category. But personally, the English flintlocks are the best choice. They offer the maximum damage, making them reliable in any fight. One thing to keep in mind across Rogue and honestly most of the series is that the best weapon is often the one you like to use. Because the combat system is easy enough that weapons mostly reduce the number of hits it takes to kill an enemy. So find what feels good for your style. Unity was the first AC game to really embrace an RPG style system. Weapons had stats that could be upgraded and were level specific in stores. So here, stats actually matter more than ever. For melee combat, the spotlight goes to 2 swords, depending on whether you own the DLC. If you don't have the Dead King's DLC, the best weapon is the Sword of Eden because it's really fast, strong, and perfect for slicing through crowds. If you do have the DLC, then it's the Eagle of Sugar, which isn't just deadly, it can also trigger a flashbang effect on a successful parry, giving you a stylish edge in battle. For ranged combat, the Phantom Blade takes the crown. It's deadly, precise, and can one-shot nearly anyone in your path, making it a perfect tool for stealthy takedowns. In Unity, the best weapons aren't just about raw stats, they're about how they fit your playstyle and make every fight feel epic. Syndicate introduced 2 protagonists, each with their own perks and stats. Jacob Fry is the combat-focused twin, so naturally we pick weapons that match his style. For For melee, his signature is the kukri, a short curved knife made for fast and brutal strikes. The best in the game? The obsidian kukri. It maxes out damage and speed and is level 10, making it perfect for chaining attacks and dominating fights. Its design is simple but sharp, and swinging it feels satisfying as every strike lands with authority. For firearms, the Mars pistol is ideal. It's powerful, precise, and perfectly complements the kukri. Holding both gives Jacob a lethal combination of speed, damage, and control, letting you tackle any fight your way. Origins really delve deep into RPG mechanics, giving players a ton of weapon types with different stats, perks, and abilities. For this video though, we're going to focus on the absolute best weapons in each category. The ones that truly make Bayek feel unstoppable. For melee combat, we're looking at swords, and the universal favorite here is Hercules' Gladius. Why it is the best? The stats are part of it, sure, but the real game changer is its health on hit effect. Every time you strike an enemy, you regain health, letting you sustain yourself in the thick of combat like an unstoppable force. Holding this sword almost feels like it's pushing you to fight aggressively, rewarding you for getting in the middle of a crowd and owning it. For bows, Origins gives you a ton of options, but most players end up with at least two types in their build: the warrior bow and the predator bow. For the warrior bow, the standout is Jackal's Gaze, which is like Hercules' Gladius as it restores health on hit and is perfect for sustained battles at range. For the predator bow, the best one is the Trophy Hunter, a bow that deals more damage the further you are from your target. It's deadly for sniping from a distance, letting Bayek feel like a true hunter stalking his prey. Unlocking these weapons isn't always straightforward, as Hercules' Gladius is only available through the Helix store, making it a rare and coveted sword. Jackal's Gaze comes from completing the Trial of Anubis on hardest mode, while the Trophy Hunter is earned by defeating the Twin War Elephants, which is definitely not a casual fight. Upgrade these weapons and Bayek becomes nearly unstoppable, because when you have health regeneration on both sword and bow, you get high damage output and no enemy can stand in your way in Origins. Odyssey takes the RPG mechanics from Origins and turns them up to 11. Now every weapon has its own stats, perks, and role in a build, from swords and spears to axes, and also add bows and arrows. Because of this, there really isn't a single best weapon that dominates every situation. Each weapon shines depending on your build, perks, and playstyle. If we look purely at damage, the Falx of Olympus is often considered the strongest, as it gives a massive boost to raw damage, letting you obliterate enemies with every swing. But it's specialized, not all round. For an overall deserving weapon though, nothing compares to the Bighorn bow. Why? Because it's basically glitched in the best possible way, giving you far more damage than its stats suggest. Every shot feels like it's hitting with insane power, and it completely changes how you handle fights. Still, it's important to remember that Odyssey is an RPG at heart. There's no ultimate weapon that works for every build. The real strength comes from choosing weapons that fit your perks and your combat style. And the Bighorn bow just happens to break the game in a fun, satisfying way. Valhalla dialed back the RPG mechanics compared to Odyssey. The perk system still exists, but its effect is minimal, so overall weapon strength mainly depends on your power level and one or two unique perks. With so many weapon categories, choosing a single best weapon is tricky, but if we consider looks, stats, and uniqueness, then the standout is the Gaebog Spear. It's not just visually stunning, it's overpowered in a satisfying way. Landing consecutive hits shocks enemies, and that effect makes it truly feel deadly in combat. It's widely considered as the best weapon in the game because it combines style, power, and a unique effect that other weapons don't have. Other notable weapons also shine in their own categories. Mjolnir, the iconic Thor's hammer, and it offers insane damage and a striking visual presence. Then we have Excalibur, the Great Sword. It's also incredible, giving players a classic legendary feel while still being extremely effective. Both of these can be unlocked in the base game, but the Gaebog Spear remains a DLC exclusive, making it a trophy for dedicated players. Mirage takes a step back from the complexity of Valhalla and Odyssey. It removes the multiple weapon types and keeps things simple with just one sword and one dagger. Combat itself isn't the strongest in the series, so choosing the best weapon is mostly subjective, depending on how you fight. That said, if we focus on perks and special abilities, one weapon clearly stands out: the Sand Sword. Originally a pre-order bonus, it's an absolute game changer. It mimics the style of the old Prince of Persia games, giving every fight a fluid cinematic feel. But what really sets it apart is its unique effect. When you parry, time slows down, letting you react to attacks with precision. And on top of that, killing enemies with it regenerates your health, making survival in even the hardest difficulty much more manageable. No other weapon in Mirage offers this level of advantage. But with the Sand Sword, you can literally take on the toughest fights and come out on top. Shadows brings back the RPG system, but follows the same structure as Valhalla. Combat depends heavily on your weapon choice and perks, and with two different protagonists, the best weapons vary depending on who you play. For Naue, who is weaker of the two, your options are limited to weapons like the katana and tanto. Since the katana is the main tool for dealing damage, the standout is the Bloodshade Katana, found in a chest in the starting region. What makes it truly powerful is its unique effect. Your affliction buildup doesn't decay over time. This means that any effect applied to enemies, like bleeding or poison, lasts without fading, making it incredibly effective for sustained combat. For Yasuke, his primary weapon is the long katana, but if we're talking about power and utility, nothing compares to the Kanabo. Specifically, the Boulder Fall Kanabo and the Rage of Red Mist Kanabo stand out. One lets your attacks never be interrupted, while the other gives 100% adrenaline back whenever you break an enemy's defense. Combine these perks and Yasuke becomes an absolute monster, capable of chaining attacks and dominating any fight in the game. In Shadows, the right weapon isn't about damage, it's about synergy with perks, and the Bloodshade Katana and Kanabo are perfect examples of how the game rewards smart choices. And that is it for today's video. We hope you guys loved it, and if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and also let us know in the comment section what are the weapons that we missed. And also, if you loved our content, then make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Till then, take care and goodbye.